In this video, we want to use tetrachords in a slightly new way. Specifically, what we're going to do is see how we can use the tetrachord of one scale to provide the foundation for the next most logical scale to learn after that one. I'll show you what I mean. Let's start out with our C major scale, which is composed of these two tetrachords. Now, if I do one little thing that's different from the previous video, I'm going to take the second tetrachord and now treat it as the first tetrachord for my next major scale. This is the second tetrachord, and what I'm going to do is treat it as the first tetrachord of a G major scale. Right away we can see one very significant change. In my first version of a scale, C major, I needed to use no black notes. Now, when I've used the second tetrachord to start a new scale, to complete the new scale, I needed to make one change. I needed to take F and make it F sharp. What happens if I were to continue that pattern? So I had G major. If I take that second tetrachord and transfer it down here and put a new tetrachord on top of that, I now have a D major scale, and I discovered two things. First of all, I keep the old F sharp, and now I add a new accidental, C sharp instead of C. What happens now if I take the second tetrachord of the D major scale and make it the start for a new scale, A major? What I've discovered here is I've kept all the old accidentals, C sharp and F sharp, and I've added one new one, G sharp. I can continue the pattern, starting with the second tetrachord on E, which I'll move down here. I can begin an E major scale, play the second tetrachord, and to do that I discovered that I needed to add D sharp while I kept my original F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So there's something that's going on here that we refer to as the circle of fifths. First of all, my tonics are moving up by an interval that we call the fifth. 2, 3, 4, 5 to G. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to D. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to A. From A, 2, 3, 4, 5 to E. These aren't just any old fifths, they're called perfect fifths. A perfect fifth is composed of 7 half steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's a sequence of perfect fifths that I've been moving through by using my little tetrachord pattern. And something else has been happening. Whenever I've added an accidental, that's also involved the interval of a perfect fifth. So when I had my C major scale, there were no new accidentals required. But when I moved from that to G major, I had to shift F to F sharp. Now, when I used that as the basis for D major, you can see that the new accidental is precisely 7 half steps above the previous one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a perfect fifth. So my D major scale provided the basis for A major. In A major, I can see the old C sharp that I used before, also the F sharp that I kept from before, but now the new accidental is G sharp. So C sharp was the previous accidental that I added. G sharp is the new accidental that I add. So my sequence of tonics moved up by perfect fifth. My sequence of accidentals then also moves on by perfect fifth. And in this way, we learn how to generate a key signature just at sight, working with tetrachords from the keyboard. We can also go in the opposite direction. For example, I can take the lower tetrachord of a scale and make that the upper tetrachord for a new scale. Again, my tetrachords are spaced apart by a whole tone. And in that case, I discovered that I needed to create an accidental exchanging B flat for B. What would happen if I used the lower tetrachord for an F major scale as the upper tetrachord for a new scale? I'll put it up here. Again, to create a new tetrachord underneath, I'd have to use E flat. And I discover that I need two flats, B flat and E flat, to create a B flat major scale. Now I start to notice something interesting. The previous time I went up by perfect fifth to generate new accidentals. In those cases, they were sharps. Now what I'm doing is moving my tonics down by perfect fifth. And as I do that, I start adding accidentals also by descending perfect fifth. So I'm predicting that the next new accidental I will have to add is A flat. And if my tonic started with C and I went to F major and then B flat major, my next tonic is going to be E flat major, and that's the one that's going to require the additional A flat. And indeed it does. So in this way, I can quickly learn in a clear sequence all major scales, each time adding just one new accidental. Now that I know how to create major scales anywhere, I want to see what I can do next with a major scale. I want to see if I can create all the other diatonic mode types based on my knowledge of just the basic major scale.